Why does my baby cry in our baby carrier? Well, the first thing to say is it's totally normal, so please don't worry. I'm going to talk you through some of the reasons and also some tips and tricks to minimize the crying and keep everyone happier. Now, the first thing to say is that babies don't like transitions. So if your newborn especially was happy asleep on you or somewhere else, and then you try and move them into a carrier, especially during the process of putting them into the sling or carrier, it's very common for them to get annoyed and for them to be loud. Now remember, when your baby is loudly crying in a carrier, it's going to feel much more uncomfortable, even physically painful for you to hear it compared to if they were crying in, say, a buggy or a cot. When a baby is crying on your chest, they're really close to your ears. It's really difficult to deal with, and you can feel their body pushing against you in a way that you wouldn't if they were in the buggy or the car seat. So what you need to do is get moving. So straight away, even before you've got the carrier on, make sure you have your shoes on and your keys and your phone to hand. So you pop your baby in, get them set up safely and comfortably, and get moving. Motion is super important. It will distract your baby and you, and usually after 5 to 10 minutes max, they're going to be much happier, much more comfy and settled. Babies are soothed by the feeling of your heartbeat, by the motion of you walking, and by the fresh air and stimulation around them. So get moving, get moving, get moving. If you're at home and you're not able to get outside, then try walking up and down the stairs. But very often, popping a baby into a sling and just standing there isn't going to do the trick. Hopefully, once you've been moving for a little while, they may well, especially with a newborn, drop off to sleep and you'll be able to have a sit down and a rest. Now, another thing that happens very commonly for babies if they're breastfeeding is they get a bit of milk confusion. So babies who are held closely to mum's chest, if mum's breastfeeding, they may be able to smell the milk and not get to it. So they're going to, again, potentially get quite vocal, be thrashing their head around, moving their arms like this. That is a sign to stop and feed again. Now, this is a good thing. It's great for breastfeeding. Essentially, your baby knows how to get the milk that it wants. And so even if they have fed recently, if you feel like they might be rooting around looking to feed again, just stop, take a break, feed again, and try and pop them in the carrier once more after that. Now, the newborn stage as well, it's very common for babies to cry when they're tired. So again, it may well be that they just need 5 or 10 minutes to settle down, walking if at all possible, before they then drop off to sleep. Now, you might start to find that your baby's really protesting going into a carrier at around the 3 to 4 month stage. This is at the end of the sleepy 4th trimester and moving into what we call the frustrated 5th trimester, when they're starting to want to move, maybe to start mastering sitting up, rolling movements like this, and they're going to be doing lots of these really wiggly movements. Now, quite often as a parent, if you can feel your baby wiggling and pressing against you, it can feel like they're saying, I don't like this. Actually, what's often going on is that these are just the same workout movements that they'd be doing if they were doing tummy time on a playmat. They're simply having a stretch. Now, at this point, there's a couple of options you can try. You might want to try letting your baby have 1 or 2 arms over the top of the carrier. You might need to lift them a little and retighten to allow this. And in this position, they're able to look round and see the world a bit more. They can even get the second arm out of the top as well. So they're really feeling like they've got lots of freedom to wiggle around. Now, the other alternative is you can have your baby facing outwards from around 4 months once they've got full head, neck and upper body control, which you can do in something like these ErgoBaby Omni carriers. You can also try carriers from 4 months that have your baby sitting around on your hip, so that means they can look out at the world and again feel a little bit less restricted. So again, these are really common things. They're nothing to worry about. It's a sign that your baby's developing very normally, getting curious about the world. Now, what you may also find is that as they get older, they may well have a few grumbles, but nothing with babies is linear. So even if they don't love your carrier today, try again tomorrow. For toddlers who are protesting, they might need to have a snack in their hand to keep them entertained. But there's lots of tips and tricks you can do to help your baby settle. So again, babies crying in slings is very normal, is nothing to worry about, and that motion is really, really important.